She was attacked by what appears to be essentially a robot.
Germ was stuck in the pattern buffer there, guys. I'm sorry. It took us a moment to beam onto the bridge, but hello, sirs and madams. It's your buddy Admiral Teag. How you doing? All right, here's the Star Trek news. It's all wishful thinking right now, but it's probably going to end up being true. Germ, you've heard the story. What's your assessment?
Well, let's just say the sources are questionable at best, and the story is essentially pulled out of thin air. But it's logically going to be
maybe worse than that. It's possibly worse than pulled out of thin air. We traced the story back. So here's the origin. A very strong story came out today, and well, this was our tile. We published this. This was our live show, September 26th, 2025. And this is what we said then, and we're going to repeat it now. You can go back and check, but this was when the show aired. We did a show. This was the tile, and we addressed this. And what happened was the Paramount sale got punted. But Section 31 was universally reviled, and they were not able to keep anything in line with as far as that goes. And I want to say hi to everyone here. We got Mr. House Party 6. We have Radioactive. We have Buddy Hepburn. I see Storter Poopus. I see myself. And I see the StreamYard stuff and the Trek Reviewer. Hello to all of you. Welcome. So here's the deal. As Germ has just indicated, and I have just said that I agree with, this is probably going to end up being true, but this is no more authoritative. This is no more authoritative. Is that the right word?
Yes.
There's no more authoritative than someone just guessing. Think about like drunk uncle next week at Thanksgiving. I'll be the drunk uncle saying Star Trek is going to be saved at my family's Thanksgiving. Think about like loudest guy at the bar. Here's the thing. It's worse than no source. Hello, John, the Beagle Dad. It's worse than no source. It's from the Tachyon Pulse, which we don't like particularly throw shade right at the Tachyon Pulse, except that we can't find a nice way to say it. I don't know how to explain the Tachyon Pulse to our viewers. Germ, what's going on over there at the Tachyon Pulse? You want to give your take on it? You've been at this YouTube game a good long time. Seen them come, seen them go. Tachyon Pulse has like 20,000, maybe 15 to 20,000 subscribers, right?
Something like that. To put it nicely, it's wish fulfillment.
It is all wish fulfillment. Now we have watched a bunch of their videos together for this show and together during this show. We do our research here, and in fact, is there anyone who has more of a grudge against their own self than me by watching all the Star Trek propaganda that I watch from the New Trek people?
Yeah, the self-loathing it causes is quite astounding.
You've seen me at the depths of it, guys. Here's the deal. The Trek United idea is advancing, but this whole thing about Kurtzman being totally gone, it's as true as it was when we said last year that we were pretty sure he really was gone. But that the sale hadn't happened and that they could still scare off the investors because they put a meaningless hold on it. In the time that hold was put on the sale, the former administration slowed down this sale. And what happened was the network that was then, being just sort of freewheeling on its own, their news division, which is known for independence over over the course of time, right? Known to be independent from the network, their news division. It did once have a really good reputation, to be honest. They get into trouble and they lose a lawsuit to the current administration about, was it defamation, Germ? What did the lawsuit spin on that one?
That's a good question. I think it was defamation.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes there's so much noise. We're hard pressed to keep track of Star Trek. We can't tell you for sure what was going on with that, but you know what? The old administration held it over, and they seem to have done a favor for them. But like the sale was delayed so that they could maybe do some crazy stuff without accountability, because Paramount was really well run during the time that it was up for sale, especially that last critical 2 years where they were really close to just completely imploding. They've started to buy back some of their assets now. The Ellisons and Skydance showed up and white knighted them out of the problems they're in. And Germ and I have said this a few times. Those are some steely-eyed gamblers who ran Paramount for that last 18 months. Well, my hat is off to them, and I think you also said, great job of money management. Great job of power poker, and great job of making sure you did all the right moves, because what they did was they seemed to push the levers on all the best Paramount stuff, make some money, keep themselves afloat, maintain cohesion, only shed as much as they had to, and have something left to sell. So what they did was, we had heard about, Kurtzman will be there forever, or, he's going to stay. And then we had heard that the Skydance people, well, they'll keep him because they made Trek 09 and they have, new Trek stuff. And this was what Germ and I said. No one believes that because the Ellisons did Trek 09 and Star Trek Into Darkness, they think that New Trek is good, or that they think those movies are good. They knew that Star Trek would make money, and they made money both times. They know that Star Trek is a moneymaker, and they're not dumb. People say, okay, action movie maker Skydance Entertainment. This is computer giant Oracle. Okay, this is a company with easily as much money as Disney. Things have changed at Paramount, and instead of being part of this media culture that we're used to, where people are very much in line to kiss the ring on one side of the aisle. These guys basically are pals from before, back in the OG days in the 20th century with Don from Queens, who's Mr. 47 in charge right now. So when you're friends with Trump, you fear no backlash. You're never going to be seen as anything but, conservative in Hollywood. What do? You flash the biggest bankwad of all. Only Disney has as much, and maybe not, but they have a close to representative-sized bankroll as Oracle. Disney doesn't have defense contracts anymore. They did during World War II. They don't have them now. Oracle builds AIs and defense computers and other stuff like that. Hello, Read by Nature. And hello, RRTNZ. Tony, Stark of Iron, it's great to see you. We're catching everyone up on the latest rumor that Kurtzman has been fired. We're standing by what we said on September 26th. We don't know what the deal is until about between New Year's 26 and St. Patrick's Day 26. You still feel comfortable about that one? Though I think we both still think he's gone.
Yeah, I'd give it any time between Christmas and St. Patrick's Day.
All the shows have been canceled right around Labor Day or before, as we said, matching what we said. We said that Oh, we think a decision's probably been made right now. I don't think it's even up in the air anymore. I think Section 31 is going to be terrible, and I think that'll end him. And we were right about Section 31 like you wouldn't believe. And welcome, everybody. We're talking about the rumor that Alex Kurtzman's been fired. We don't think he's been fired so much as he's being wound down. The golden parachute was probably pulled last year. This was always his deal with Paramount, and it goes back to this nebulous Paramount sale that starts when Enterprise is still on the air. At the end of Enterprise, the Redstones are looking to move on. Shari Redstone inherits the company because I think her father dies before he finishes the sale, right? Sumner Redstone retires and/or dies. He just isn't into it anymore. It takes so long to get done that he, like 6 years later, he's just not really involved anymore. So then Shari Redstone's involved. At some point, Paramount breaks up into movies and TV, and CBS is on its own. They then reintegrate into themselves. It's this whole long soap opera, and some of these contracts were written beforehand when they didn't know they were going to break up or they didn't know they were going to reintegrate. The Star Trek contract has this flaw. He's allowed to make as much Star Trek as he wants. They don't have to buy it, but they get first bid. My source on this one is Tom and Andre. I do go to the Midnight's Edge member streams, and I advise everybody to listen to Midnight's Edge and sub to them if you haven't. But for the longest time, they were telling me, these are the two narratives. These are the two narratives. And you can watch the member streams and see me on there, and they're like, here comes the Star Trek guy, Admiral Teag. And it was fun, and we joked around about it. But, I went on as a member, and I said, please tell me everything you can tell me about Star Trek. And it was funny. Like, first, Andre would be like, this is the problem. There are two equal and equally valid but mutually exclusive fountains of information just telling us everything, and we don't know which one to believe because they can't both be true because they're saying the opposite. And what I get now is one was the Kurtzman source, and one was people more on the business side being like, nah, this really is losing money. Trust me. No one's going to keep paying for this forever. Believe it. So all the rumors were true. All the stuff we saw was true. Things that were said about like Rings of Power, where'd all the money on screen go? Maybe some of it was side-loaded into their old project, Star Trek, because Lindsay Weber, who writes both, is still involved heavily. So you know what? Their plan originally was to, a lot of people say, and this was being spoken of when this was going to court before it became arbitration, that they did this show terrible and bad on purpose to trigger their buyout and get 4 or 5 years pay in one. So one and done, and they could be like, these people were haters who didn't like our woke Star Trek. Netflix called their bluff. But here's the thing. This was the second black mark or black cloud on the reputation or over the head of Alex Kurtzman. The first one is he's a scab who crosses the line during the 2006-2007 strike. So the rest of Hollywood, not thrilled with him right then and there, but that's how he gets in, okay? The second thing is he is said to have presented unacceptable work and tried to trigger a buyout with bad faith. This could have sucked like $250 million out of Netflix in 2018. Germ, do you think they would have changed the complexion of streaming wars? That much money at that moment?
Not by a lot, but
they would have probably bought another year for other services to catch on. We know now the other services were terrible.
But as it was even then, that's less than $1 per subscriber for Netflix.
Here's the thing. Netflix trades around $700. It drops to $500 on a bad day. Disney makes it to $110 on its best fucking day. And they have to announce or kill off projects to do that. And welcome everybody. It's nice to see people here. And I guess what I should do now is, sure, what do you think? Should I stumble into the Bumble studio and turn that feed on too? Have I spent enough time neglecting to remember? Sorry, everybody. Just turned on the other feed. You do the same thing. How many times has it happened to us? But okay, welcome everybody now. So here's the deal. We do think Kurtzman was most likely, hello, low specs Linux laptop. We think that Kurtzman was most likely let go last year after the failure of the second season of Strange New Worlds because it was really, really, really bad. We don't think he got the memo in time on how to change it. His original rumor was that he made the Star Trek in bad faith to get fired. The next thing that starts hanging around is he can't fix it, he can't change it, and he thinks it's the fans. So he keeps going after the fans, going after the fans, going after the fans. He buys himself some time, to be fair. But at the next moment, as he keeps blaming the fans, he shrinks his own audience. And now that it started in 2009, they said it then, they've been saying it through the 2018 beginning of the show, it's now 2025. It has been 16 years. Germ, is it safe to say that we have aged through the modern audience they told us was coming? It never existed, right? It's a unicorn.
Yeah.
There's a few unicorns out there, but no one's seen them.
Never existed, and they knew it never existed. His modern audience was basically him.
We've only met new Trek fans who were contrarian and angry people. There were some people who just like, I knew one person who sincerely did like new Star Trek. Like aside from, who's our pal who loves the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Why am I blanking on? Donnie. Aside from Donnie, who said it was okay, I only knew one person who watched it, who liked it. They really liked it. And it was someone on X. And they couldn't talk about why it was good. They could never give me a reason why it was okay. They could never tell me what about the story was appealing to them. And eventually they just got angry and rage quit the conversation, which tends to happen. And, if anyone ever tells you they like the show, just ask them, like, what did you think of episode 5? And they're going to be like, huh? Because no one has made it past episode 3 of Strange New Worlds. The people I've spoken to saw 1, maybe 2 episodes. So not compelling, not something people want to go back to, and certainly not the biggest deal in the world with their new Trek garbage. And so we think that what happened was Kurtzman at that point, he gets told, you're probably out the door. It's way too late. It looks like the Ellisons are going to buy it. Hollywood was calling them, like Trump comes to Hollywood. They were going Orange Man bad, being pointed at them. A lot of people who did business with Skydance were suddenly saying, oh, no, we won't do business with these. They're terrible. Oh, they're such bad people. Well, guess what? They showed up in town and their money's just as fucking green. And now Sean Ferrick, who was against them acquiring Paramount, he changed his tune, retracted some tweets, and when he did the Sussman interview for Star Trek United, by the way, that's a major hurdle cleared for Star Trek United. We'll talk about that after we wrap up Kurtzman. CBS Corporate is now spending money publicizing Star Trek United, which means either it's going to happen or they want Kurtzman gone, or it's going to happen and they want Kurtzman gone, or they super want Kurtzman gone. Any one of those 3 things. Germ, would you say they're all in play? And what's your favorite of the scenarios?
They're all in.
Gone, I'm guessing.
I think they're all in play, and it's not so much that the Ellisons definitely want Kurtzman gone. Everyone else know which way the wind is blowing.
Now, they may be wealthy as hell and they may prefer like some real old Zinfandel, but the Ellisons seem to have movie tastes that you and I could have a beer with, so to speak, or, shoot a few rounds of dice with, whatever your favorite thing is. They said that movies should be fun for the whole family sometimes. They said that the preachiness had to stop, and anti-woke orders seem to have gone down to Strange New Worlds because that last season, a lot of super short episodes. I don't think they filmed anything new to make up for stuff they tore out. A lot of unresponded to comments, a lot of sentence fragments, real nonsensy, and I think that AI was involved because Spock was more character correct than he usually was and removed from most stories. I know your theory on that one was that Ethan Peck just has a little more pull than the rest of them, right?
Yeah, I think he's a middle stage of importance. You got
there's the
Ensign
possibility
Mount and Rebecca Romaine up top.
Right.
Then he's Spock right down there. Everyone else is right below him.
They thought going in that Spock would lead the charge for their new dumb characters, and they had a new dumb Spock for us, and it's Gregory Peck's grandson, Ethan Peck. And here's the thing, it's hard to hate the guy, but you hate his Spock. When you see him, He's actually okay. We've seen the press availabilities with him where he's normal and he has normal hair and he's just normal and he's a nice enough person. And he doesn't seem baffled by the fact that there are no people there to see him at all. And he doesn't seem baffled by the fact that the people who do come up ask about his other projects. And he was the only one who could sing because he's Hollywood legacy. He is the Nepo hire. However, we'll say this, he does seem to have some talent, doesn't he? As much as we hate that show and that character. He does seem to have some talent. He could sing.
If he was doing stuff he was meant to do, probably Broadway.
Yeah, honestly, he belongs on Broadway. He would be great at Broadway or Piccadilly Circus. He can sing, he can dance, he can act decently, but not great. That would be my assessment of Ethan Peck at 30.
Yeah,
but just go ahead.
Put him on Broadway, and he knows he's not supposed to. He shouldn't be in sci-fi. He's just there.
He seems well aware of it. Yeah, he knows he was
collecting the check, and
hi Tim.
He's gonna write it out.
You know what? I think that he may have pulled a flex on him because this third season was a fourth season, and this fourth season is actually a fifth season, and this fifth season is actually a third season because it's a fourth season. Season 1 is part of Star Trek Discovery because Star Trek Discovery was so bad, and it fits with what we heard. When it was a lawsuit against Kurtzman and his his public hangout losers, before it became arbitration, which is secret, when it's a public lawsuit, the stuff being shouted was, we asked for Star Trek and we didn't get it. We're going to send this back because it wasn't Star Trek. We tried to return it right away, and we're going to get out of paying for this. We're not giving them their buyout, and it's not Star Trek. So what happened was that was so destructive that the Hollywood people went behind a closed door to do it. The Star Trek people shut it down, and Paramount was more than happy to have that go away while they tried to fix their Star Trek. And Star Trek Discovery has come back fundamentally different every season. And Netflix did not like the loaded gun to their head where they had to jump off their own rights by showing the Enterprise at the end of season 1. They had no right to do that. And there was nowhere to go except show characters they had no rights to. They handcuffed everybody, and that's when the Roddenberrys start to slightly sour on Kurtzman. For a little while, the Roddenberrys and Majel Barrett pass away early on into this, but Rod Roddenberry, Eugene Roddenberry Jr., Gene Roddenberry, Eugene Roddenberry, whatever they call him, Rod Roddenberry, seems like a nice enough guy, and he gave us Unification, which to me was real Star Trek. Germ, your thought on it? Want to chime in quick on Unification?
Unification was a little blip of hope. At the time, it seemed like false hope, but now it seems actually more real.
It was as the small stones rolling down a mountainside that foreshadow the avalanche. Like, this is like two halflings enter Mordor with the ring. Everything should go wrong, but for some reason, it was a sign of hope. At any rate, what we thought was that Kurtzman's fate was decided by the last season of Strange New Worlds being the one that was out in September 26th. So the one that would be called by them, they called it season 2, didn't they? Because the last one they had the nerve to call the last one season 3.
Yep.
Right, but it was season 4 because season 1 is most of Star Trek Discovery season 2 because season 2 of Star Trek Discovery is changed to try to make it into Star Trek so they don't get thrown off of Netflix, and they're trying to satisfy a Hollywood arbiter. Our friend RRTNZ, Radioactive Actual, I'm sorry about the dyslexia there, Radioactive Actual, says, Radioactive, our friend who is on the Landman panel, what do you mean you don't like Kurtzman's Soy Trek? It's absolutely the best Chinese Communist Party funded counterfeit fake sci-fi show ever made. Not only is it a bad fake sci-fi show and counterfeit Star Trek, it is a terrible, what it's attempting to be, it's a really bad crime show. It is not SVU in space, which it tries to be with its recast actors from SVU. And I thought that maybe Michelle Hurd was part of the problem. We saw her in other stuff. Turns out she can act. It's really them. It's them. This is the longest, most failed experiment in writing history. This is the most successful failure of all time. We have never seen an 8-9 year run of worse writers getting steadily let off the hook by complete and utter total corporate chaos, cranking out one season after the next season after the next season, steadily getting worse and worse and worse and worse. We saw a season of Strange New Worlds last season in season 3 that could only be called an absolute, utter, and complete total freefall from the point that they hit episode 1. Episode 10, so much worse than episode 1. Was your Strange New Worlds season 3 summation, Germ?
Waterboarding would have been more fun.
Waterboarding probably would have been more fun. Also, like being screamed at by my ex-wife for like 2.5 hours would have been something I would have signed up to go back to that. I would have signed up to like go back through my divorce again. I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, this was some of the very worst Star Trek we ever saw, and I mean, it's time for another review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, a show so standalone that no episode makes any sense without the previously on segment, which usually doesn't relate to the episode it's catching you up on and tells you only what they want you to think about what already happened in an episode that they're hoping you won't watch. Man, I hope this guy doesn't copyright strike me. He sounds like a real dick. Thank you so much, Radioactive, for the $5 super chat. I super appreciate it. And thank you for underwriting this section of the fucking show. We can say that when we get super chats. Germ, go ahead. Here's our video essay. I'm going to turn off the sound and just show people the cacophony of horrific images. And just go ahead. Germ told me he might have to step away to vomit or he might be muted, so I'll just narrate till he gets back. Strange New World Season 3 is really their 4th season. It was absolutely terrible. They hit a new low. They're in free fall most of the time. Most of the episodes were overly campy. Their ship always completely empty, as you can see here. There were never any background actors. They made these gigantic sets for all of no reason, filmed like an empty like an empty stadium. Look at this. Look at like one person. Remember the old Enterprise? Hello, DM viewing. Hello. I think it's hilarious that the most expensive set in TV history for Starfleet Academy has apparently been torn down already. I have heard that too, and that stands to reason. And you can see that, like, Kurtzman, he was using his right here. There she is, Kristen Beyer. I made sure to get the names of all their producers in here. Like, this doesn't seem like the most exciting part of the video essay. It's most of their special effect budget. And the only reason this show has a beginning is to show you the names of all the co-executive producers. It topped out at 23 in season 2 for the animated episode. 19 to 21 was the average. After halfway through the season, Manny Koto from TNG was gone. So their original Star Trek people couldn't even be bothered to take the money. They bolted a smaller and smaller pot of money. Here she is, your Rings of Power writer, Kristen Beyer. She is also, it's Kristen Beyer is one of them. Lindsay Weber is the other one. They are from this show originally, and they just took this entire show's concept and pushed it onto Tolkien. It was horrible. Jeremy, back?
Yeah.
Season 3, Strange New Worlds. Do you think that this was made as extortion so CBS would not be allowed to let anyone else get their hands on it, as I have said?
It's a possibility.
If we owned a company that was competing with Star Trek and we own the rights to this season of Strange New Worlds, it is so Star Trek destroying and Star Trek hating and fan hating and garbagey that it's really we said that this was I said before the season started that this would be the most destructive event in the history of the franchise. And Jerem, what do you think? Did I bear out? What was my prediction borne out by how bad it was?
You got close, but I think Section 31 was a little bit worse.
It was a lot longer, twice as long as any episode, so you might be correct. But as you can see here, they went back to that same place where this isn't even a rock quarry. This is an exile home for bad concrete. Jerem, this is like the building they knocked down in Seattle like 15 years ago. Is it nice to see it again at the landfill in Canada? You hated it before. Is it nice to hate it again?
I can still go downtown and see that same rock pile. They haven't cleaned it up yet.
They've only got part of it in Canada. This idiot, this was one of the things that made me so annoyed about their Star Trek. For the sake of shock, they have to have people lose their sight in every episode of this. It's like a thing. So in old Star Trek, when you see this, now, Germ, you have a Star Trek like mine. I'm going to say something to you. We just opened it up. We found an artifact. It's from an alien civilization. They may be more advanced than us. I have a word for you. I'm going to use a device. You tell me if I should use it or not. Tricorder?
That would be best, but no, let's just touch it and start hitting buttons.
Yeah, exactly. Let's use it like a Rubik's Cube tied to a hand grenade and just figure we'll be lucky on the first spin, because that happens for Mikey Burnham every time. The entire Jem'Hadar species, Jem'Hadar, were bred from a single strand of Chuck Norris's beard after he blew his nose and thus created the changelings. Are you talking about the Archelophagus, I think it's called, from the from Douglas Adams, The Coming of the Great White Handkerchief, and the people who believe that the entire galaxy was sneezed at the nose of a giant being? That's pretty close, but that would be exactly how the Jem'Hadar were created. They are pure fire. I liked the Jem'Hadar. And I even liked that episode where they killed Vorta Shran, Jeffrey Coombs. That was a great episode. He's like, I have your space crack right here. And he puts down the case and they just blow him away and grab it. like true space crackheads that they are. I love the Jem'Hadar. I think their heads look dumb, but I love the Jem'Hadar. How about you, Germ?
Oh, yeah, they're a great species.
Thank you, RRTNZ and Krimlon. Krimlon with five Admiral Teag memberships. Who got the memberships? Let's look. It's the Dead Man. What? It's one Admiral Teag membership. Dave C gets two Admiral Teag memberships. Mr. Angel receives a gift membership from Krimlon. DJ Play Nice receives one. William Shake Spielberg also gets one. Thank you very much, Krimlon. That's five memberships. I need to like a lightning and thunder sound for that one. And let's see how our poll is going while I'm looking at the chat on the YouTube side. Your best guess on New Trek. We won't see any more. 31%. Gone after Starfleet Academy. 12%. We're stuck for a few more years. 31%. Like Stream C results. 25% of you. You're all wonderful people for participating in this and also for sharing your precious time with us. I can't thank you enough. You guys are the best. You know what? We're catching you up on the Alex Kurtzman is fired. It's very loud from all corners because it's been very obvious for a long time that keeping him would be very controversial indeed. But as far as these new projections that we're getting from people where they're absolutely sure with details, with dates, with like dialogue from the meetings,
Sir,
you know,
that was so controversial, sir.
Germ, what do you think? Can we put any stock in this stuff?
I think just the basic common sense. You got the new owners, you got the failing part of the business. He's going to be out sooner than later.
And there we go with not using the tricorder. Now they've made review-proof Star Trek. Here's what they did for the rest of this episode. No one cleans this guy up. He walks around covered in blood and viscera for the rest of the episode, and it is a lot of blood, and it gets on everyone. So everyone's just covered with blood the whole time. They break YouTube but not streaming rules, so you can't make a video essay of their show to mock them. That was most of their season, was defensively making stuff that we couldn't talk about. And their next show is just such pure cringe. Like, if you think that I'm going to get into what Alex Kurtzman has as a message for your kids through Star Trek on that fucking show, you have another thing coming. There is, let me tell you about Starfleet Academy.
Sure. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
Germ, do you think, hello, Sci-Fi Mommy, do you think Sci-Fi Academy will air?
At least in part.
Do you think they might compress all 20 episodes that they made them make in like 15 seconds down to like one? Now, we did get secondhand, as close as we could get secondhand confirmation it was being made. Now, Robert Picardo said he was there, but you and I both said this at the time. They could have put a costume on him, stuck him in front of a camera, and told him anything, and he would have believed it because he needs the work. And also, even though Robert Picardo is cool, he took a heel turn for Jackass as soon as they did that. So while he was offered a contract and probably paid by them, it didn't mean they made anything. They easily could have thrown him into a costume and put him in front of a camera and lied to him. That's their style. That's what they do. We've seen this for years. They have never been honest about anything. If they had told the truth, how come they're not being renewed till infinity? Because they were the greatest, most highly rated streaming show every time since the Book of Boba Fett. So they make review-proof episodes where people are just covered in blood. Then we have to talk about this doctor being a piece of garbage. Then we got this coming next year. I think that this is extortion. This is my opinion, but it's a very serious and very, very serious thing to say. It is my opinion that if I was offered this as my property that I leased out to someone and they said, you can buy this or I could sell it to your competitor if you don't take it. Now, they let them sell strange new, not Lower Decks. What was the kids' show called? Prodigy?
Yeah.
Prodigy was said to be better because Kurtzman wasn't involved. So there's your common denominator. He wasn't really involved in Lower Decks. When he did get involved, it was bad. But he mostly wasn't involved. So a lot of people have kind of goodwill towards Lower Decks. When Kurtzman got his hands on Prodigy, his influence was enough to get it canceled. And then he walks away. And while it's canceled and not in production, they have some episodes left over that Paramount just passes on and Netflix buys. And Netflix buys them from the production company that made them under Kurtzman's license. So they didn't buy them from Kurtzman. They didn't do business with him again directly. And they didn't have any lingering obligation. The show was out of production when it was picked up by them. Yeah, it is on Netflix now. When was the last new episode, though, Sci-Fi Mommy? Prodigy was, as we said, a better show. Yeah, there are 2 seasons.
It was canceled after season 2.
And the last episode
primarily because Kurtzman, it was canceled because Kurtzman
got involved.
He tried to insert himself, and everyone else involved with it decided not to continue with it, and he couldn't.
People were freaked out. Yeah, people were freaked out. They didn't want to be involved with a Kurtzman-related children's show. And the reason that you still hold that show in high regard is because the season didn't... If you had gotten that other season, very few people would have been happy with Star Trek using your beliefs as a punching bag to excuse their bad stories, no matter what side of them you're on. Whether you are on either side of the political equation, that Strange New Worlds garbage ship thing that was about our exact political situation now... They were just trying to be Law and Order. It wasn't Star Trek. It was torn from the headline Star Trek. And we saw, even when the good Gene Roddenberry hired sort of approved fanfic within the cone of Star Trek certainty was going on, we didn't have the kind of mishaps we had now. Enterprise was the end of the cone of certainty. I have called Gene Roddenberry a force of nature. The Star Trek he created was great. Gene Roddenberry lives till about the middle of Star Trek TNG, and then the show starts to three. But he's not all of it, right? He writes some of it, but he's not there to film a lot of it, right? He dies filming it. He's around for a few episodes. Before the season starts, he had passed away, and they were on TV eulogizing him, and letting the fans know that this was his last batch of original stories. Now they're real good, and he creates the Borg. The first show that we could call pure fanfic would be Deep Space Nine, but it's good. It's his writers, and there are writers hired by his writers, and there are writers trained by his writers who they had a hard time working with Gene. They admit that, but they themselves were fans of who liked Star Trek, who had different Star Trek visions. But Deep Space Nine goes off the Star Trek rails, but stays true to the franchise and produces good TV. Much the same way Enterprise does. 2 different directions, but would you say that kind of sums up what happens with those 2 shows?
Yeah, for the most part. But everyone, even fans of Gene's, had a hard time working with him.
And Enterprise was starting to piss people off right away. They made every mistake you could make, even though it's a better show than its fate. Although that song that haunted them. That show is now that you can skip the theme song, gaining popularity, and it's their most popular streaming show, aside from TNG, which has twice as many episodes. So with Enterprise and Deep Space Nine, and especially I would say Discovery, Voyager, you see this widening cone of certainty where the hurricane starts. Like like it's gonna hit like a few islands down in the Caribbean. You know for sure it's gonna make landfall on a 200 square area of the coast of Florida. But then, as it rolls up the coast, things become less and less certain. Does it get to Washington? Does it make it to New York? Does it skip New York and hit Boston? Does the whole thing roll out to sea? The Star Trek is no longer made by Gene, but it stays within the cone of Star Trek certainty, where it still is recognizable as the Star Trek that started out in 1967, 1966. After Enterprise, it's a whole new animal. It's a different storm. It's not a force of nature. It's a fluke. It's a fraud. It's terrible. And they say it was made for a modern audience, which by and large does not show up enough to ever support a television show and doesn't do enough to keep a streaming show alive. Once they started cutting that audience into segments and having more than one show, they couldn't hold it together on streaming either, if they ever could. The original deal for Paramount on streaming was that this happened behind closed doors. This is the best we could find out. Most people agree on this one, and this is still, arbitration is sealed, so grain of salt territory. It looks like everyone agreed that there was no contract because both sides said you broke the agreement. So the arbitrator goes, we're going to do what they do when you run a supermarket. We're going to go through a couple of business cycles, and that'll end it. You didn't get what you wanted. You didn't make what you were supposed to. It's just like if Germ owned a supermarket and I owned a dairy farm. If Germ is getting all his milk from me and only from me, but then Gorilla opens up a dairy farm up the street and you can get your milk from him cheaper and it's just as good, you're going to change suppliers, right?
Exactly.
But the universal commercial code, which is different from state to state, dictates how broken business agreements only made in the common law work. You and I never had a contract for this milk, okay? Let's just say that. But for 10 years, I've been giving it to you and sending it to you. You call me to check on the milk. I call you to make sure the milk got there. There's a trail of causality, and it's obvious that we've been doing business. Guess what a court could do to you? They could say, you've got to do business with Teag for 180 days so that he can move his business on and not disrupt commerce within our state. You're bad for commerce, Germ. You need to do business with him until you run through the cycle. So no determination was made on whether or not it was Star Trek. What they said was, you have just cause to reject this product. And so the Star Trek people kept trying to change it every minute. And when it got kicked off Netflix, we didn't find out from Star Trek, did we? Who knew for a year. For a year, they kept reoffering themselves to Netflix and being turned down. They knew for a year that Netflix was done with them and didn't want to do business with Alex Kurtzman because he tried to con them out of 8 years' money for 10 episodes. That didn't land well. Germ, would you do business with Kurtzman again after that? Hell to no.
To put it nicely, to be more realistic, Kurtzman would have a little vacation in the desert, to which he'd become a missing person.
All right, so Germ, far more ruthless than the rest of Hollywood, but he wouldn't take that crap. He would call his friends from Caesar's Palace and say, help me get rid of this guy. And they would be like, sir, if you pay that gambling debt you owe us, we can afford to pay someone to do that, and he would probably pay to get rid of it. But here's the thing. With this puppet, this is now at the point of, if you are running any other network, you can destroy any attempt to reboot Star Trek by just showing this, which is why our prediction holds true. We're going to find out around New Year's, but this may have accelerated it to Christmas, but no sooner, because this is now a 5-alarm fire. Star Trek was always a fire, but then that fire spread. It spread to a tire graveyard, okay? The tire graveyard was built on top of an abandoned coal mine. This fire is so bad and so toxic that they've just given up. It's like that town in Pennsylvania that everyone just split because there's an anthracite fire that can't be put out. But you know what? Put the world's largest tire fire on top of that one. It is absolutely a burning, flaming, total wreck. Germ, if they present this Star Trek puppet show with non-Muppet Muppets from the Jim Henson's Weirdo Creature Workshop or whatever the fuck it's called, and by the way, this terrible puppet, I looked into getting a Star Trek puppet made so I could do some appearances with Snowdub. I love Snowdub. He's my friend. We're on at the same time too much for me to get the Star Trek puppet, and it was like $800. But this level puppet was doable for like $350. It's not. This is the puppet blank that you buy off of Amazon. There are better puppets on Snowdub's show. There are better, but Germ, you've seen Snowdub's show. This puppet right at home there, maybe on the low end, right? Possibly on the low end.
But this is a news reporter from Sesame Street.
That is the new that is that not Guy Smiley, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and Kermit the Frog when he's the on the spot news reporter. At any rate, when you tell Paramount, we're going to sell this to Netflix if you don't buy it, sirs, this is like saying, "Hey, nice Star Trek you got there." It'd be a shame, Germ, if anything happened to your Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? That's a real nice Star Trek you got there.
I personally never bought that argument because it'd be more damaging for Netflix to show it in that situation than it is for the overall brand.
It's a real nice Star Trek that you got there. The thing is, spitefully, Netflix could absorb the hit and take out Paramount Plus's biggest potential reboot. This is how big Star Trek really is, guys. It's been 16 years of being dragged through the mud. This is how big really is. People with brains are now in charge at Paramount. They are moving on rebooting Star Trek and flushing this garbage so much faster than Germ and I ever thought. Did you think that we would see them chasing away the canonality and shortening the seasons of the other shows as fast? We thought that they would just burn them down and end them.
Yeah, I thought they'd spend most of 26 erasing it. But it looks like by this time next year, we'll have completely relaunched.
Radioactive Actual. Radioactive says, Muppet Pike is Soy Smiley. He is Soy Smiley. It's a bad Anson Mount puppet. It's a bad Anson Mount puppet. Germ, is this recognizable as Anson Mount without the uniform?
All I see is freaking Guy Smiler.
When they make a Muppet of most people, it's usually like you don't need to be prompted to know who it is, do you? They do signature things and it always looks like who it's supposed to be. If they make a Muppet of a person, which is not usual. This is new territory, making a Muppet of a person, I think, isn't it? There was never a Ronald Reagan puppet. There wasn't a puppet of Loretta Swit when she was on there. Nothing like that. There wasn't a Deborah Harry puppet.
They have done Muppet episodes of some other television shows.
But it was of the character.
Yeah, of the character. Angel is the one that comes to mind. Those were very generic, but that was 20-ish years ago.
Right, and now this is all owned by Disney, so Paramount, not Disney. Jim Henson's son fired by Disney, so he doesn't. I mean, out of all the times I've said Disney didn't deserve, this person didn't deserve to get fired by Disney, this time it looks like a wash. He has none of his father's skill. Anyone could have made this fucking puppet, or did Kurtzman just not give him enough money?
I would go with that one. Not enough money and not enough respect. Both. Kurtzman probably badmouthed him to his face and ran his father's name through the mud, so he gave him something out of the junk drawer.
I would say, honestly, that was probably more the threat. Like, you will do this, or... And they, by the way, they did not utilize this guy's show. They did not utilize this guy's talents for any of their sci-fi creatures, like the Star Wars people sometimes do. What's that weird grounding sound? Is that me or you?
That, guys, I think, would be my neighbor.
Okay, we know what that is. Mute when not speaking. Sorry, buddy. All right, so here's the deal. We've got this puppet is not recognizable as Anson Mount. I think what happened was there was a threat to either cause business problems for, drag the name through the mud of, or, like, maybe badmouth them. They could have used these people to make a believable sci-fi creature for any one of their bad episodes. Germ, could any of these episodes have used maybe a little bit of like Henson creature magic for a believable monster that we could have shot a phaser at? Honestly.
Would have been much better. If anyone's seen the show Farscape, that's a great example of what Jim Henson Creature Works is capable of. They would have done great to have even a tenth of that in this show.
We don't think it was an honest attempt to do puppets. We don't think that they were trying honestly to do the puppets. We think that what happened was they got the creature shop was probably put over a barrel, is my opinion. They were told how it was going to be in no uncertain terms. And they said to them, you know what, like, you make us these things so that we can shake down our bosses at Paramount, or, you know, you'll have problems. You know, we'll call you istophobes. We'll say that, you know, you didn't want to work with us because we're too we're too progressive, and we'll end you. We'll end you in Hollywood. And I think that has now become a real extent problem, because what happens is you've got a guy in Hollywood who's on a kamikaze mission. Germ and I both know that Kurtzman is in fact Finnish. The only possibility, and this is far flung, and we're going on nothing, but we're the ones who will tell you this. It would be bad and unethical and unnewsworthy for us to tell you this without telling you how we came across it. And look, JT, hell, Admiral, sir, driving home at warp 4.5 in a warp 4 zone. Fake Trek is hopefully canceled forever. And that show, like Tim Russ, I call him Tim Rusty, is so bad, it had no ratings. You know what? Thank you, JT Kirk, so much for the generous $10 United States Super Chat. We do have breaking Star Trek news. It's that people are reporting without any real factual evidence that Alex Kurtzman is gone. The reason they're reporting that is it's such a safe guess. Guess what, Gerb? You know what? I have a weather report for you. You tell me what you think of this one. It's November in New York. Ready? Here we go. You tell me what you think about this one. Cold. Scattered cold. Growing steadily colder until January, at which point it will reach peak cold and last until about March. At that point, scattered mild weather will appear, with days up to the 40s and 60s, here and there, until April, when baseball will begin and a traditional spring with a lot of rain will start. What do you think, sir?
Give him a job on the local news, everybody.
Oh my God, right? So yeah, Kurtzman has done nothing but lose money. This was about as easy to see as when you would call them the haters, but they were so right. When people just showed up and said, here's the receipts on Stephen Colbert's show that he gave us last night. It doesn't make sense. When Stephen Colbert was like, we're letting 600 people lose jobs, you're like, my God, how big is your organization? Like, how about, like, this is our dick joke division. These guys write dick jokes. It's like 35 guys. They're like, hi. I mean, what the hell? It's like, we give them Viagra free all day. It's like, I think Ozzy had one made as well. A puppet? If Ozzy had one puppet made of himself for the hell of it, why the fuck not? He's Ozzy. He could do no wrong. I'm not going to speak ill of Ozzy, but you know what? Thank you, JT, for the $10 super chat. And Buddy's right there saying it with that awesome ace from outer space. Teag is back, and I told you so. You know what? This is, in my opinion, extortion. I do not think you can go forward with this particular form of Star Trek. Look at this puppet. It is not an acceptable puppet, and we're going to do a whole episode of this. How are they going to go to the puppet dimension? In that stupid movie, Doctor Strange, which was a movie about Scarlet Witch, we saw them go to the donut and the paint dimension. Did you see that horrific multi-car pileup of a fucking show?
Unfortunately, yes, I did.
Basically, if we go to the puppet dimension, they will unironically all turn into puppets. They'll all turn back from puppets. And one of them will say to the other, were we all just puppets? And the one who is asked the question will respond, Germ, tell me if I have this about right. Germ, were we just puppets? I don't think we should ever talk about that again. You know what? You're right. And they'll end the episode cold. That's Alex Kurtzman for you. What do you think?
That, or they're going to have some real bad pun off of the puppets. They'll try
There
to
will be
use
a hand up my ass joke in there. There will be, and look here, look how hard it was to make this video. Like I had to keep cropping out all the. This guy is just covered in blood. I had to choose shots where his back was turned. He's always covered in blood. The only time we have any effect is the cheapest of effects. They finally taught someone which way to point the phaser. This was like 3 seconds borrowed from Star Trek Beyond, I think, with some stuff added to it. I think that was from Star Trek Beyond. These people aren't even dancing together. Every single thing about the show is terrible. And it's telling you, and look at emotional Spock right there. There was no way, like, is this a tough guess? Hey, Germ, look, this is the last season of Star Trek. You think this guy's fired? Yeah,
real tough sell there.
I'm going to show you the baseline for the story. First, I'm going to probably have to share this guy's info. Here is JDA Talks Trek is the name of the channel, okay? He seems okay. I don't know what his deal is, though. And we have seen things. Germ, we hung out with LDG in the underground, and we watched long talks with people talking about how to make strange things happen on YouTube. And we saw some of the smartest minds we saw talking about how people were nerfing and faking streams, nerfing and faking stories. In real time, we saw brilliant IT guys and brilliant minds, Bird of Prey 5 and LDG, take apart the Hawk-Tuah thing, right? Right in front of us. Right in front of us. How long till it's proven fake?
I think you can just look at this guy and notice there's at least some campaigning going on.
Let me see if I can show you what's going on. Now, there are a couple of different ways to do things on YouTube, okay? You can go, and we've seen this channel attacked this way. There are nefarious means, okay? Then there are, means such as promotions and other things that YouTube will just offer you. And the promote tab is a weird thing. And anybody who gets offered the chance to promote who doesn't at least look at it and says they've never looked at it, well, they're lying. And what they do is, and LDG explained this one to me. If you micro-target something to a really third world nation, you can have an explosion. So here's what the guy, JDA Talks Trek. He has 1.82 thousand subscribers. I have 2,994 last time I checked, or 2,950 last time I checked, and thank you all so much for joining me. But about 200 or 300 of those are people who have already walked away from YouTube or were always bots in the first place that joined in a wave of engagement or something like that. Because once you get past, say, 50 to 100 YouTube subscribers, unless you've talked to them personally, there's a chance. And, the numbers are it's prohibitive that I don't have any fake or bot subs, correct? My channel's too big now. I'm 20 times past the point where you have to start saying it's statistically likely. At 20, it's statistically likely. At 100, it's statistically overwhelming. At 500, it's a fait accompli. At 1,000, it's happening in a few levels. So here we go. This is the guy. I put his link in there. This guy has 900 likes. We think, what's our best here? About 300 on a night where every crazy thing happened, including random waves of engagement where people watched for about 5 minutes, thought we were kind of cool, and hit like. It held up through the overnight bot sweeps. So we've seen it. We've seen real and fake engagement in waves, this channel. When you hit about 1,500 to 2,000, you will see stuff like that. And God knows we've lived through it. So this channel yesterday, 2 days ago, so let's call it 48 hours, 10,000 views in 48 hours, 900 thumbs up. What do you think of that, sir?
There's some red flags there.
It begs a question, does it not, sir?
Especially looking at the rest of the stuff he was doing.
I have 3,000 subscribers. Yesterday, I made a Landman video. Or 2 days ago, I released a Landman video. Did you watch it, Germ?
Parts of it, yeah.
Pretty good, right? I'm getting better. Guys, if you get a chance, check out my video essay on Landman. In the middle, there's a secret surprise for everybody. Did you get to the part with Hilter? Where Ainsley turns into Hilter?
Didn't quite get that far.
Okay, and guys, this is the Jelly Donut of reviews. This one is so great. Please check out the video essay for Landman if you like my channel, because the video essay has some real great Admiral Teague humor in the middle there. Because Ainsley just starts quoting stuff from Hilter, and she is absolutely out of her tree. So here is JDA's Kurtzman is... this is his Patton Oswalt made a mockery of Star Trek and wants to remind you, was released 4 hours ago. He has 1,013 views and 100 likes. I have about 8 likes and about 75 views on a 9-minute Landman essay that's extremely high effort. This guy does what I call testimonial style when he shows you his proof or does his thing. What he does is there it is, and as you can see, it's pretty static, and he'll show you a few pictures, and he just basically, he does a pretty good read, but you've heard him second guess himself and talk over it. What I do when I make a video is a little different. Now, not everyone has to make it like me, and I do have testimonial styles that are a little more off the cuff, like for a movie review. But this is this guy's whole style. It's like, check it out. Here it is in the Hollywood Reporter. Stephen Colbert is going to be in Starfleet Academy, but I don't think that Kurtzman has a job anymore. And I know he doesn't have a job anymore because he's fired for sure, because he's not going to be there, and he's not going to be there because he's fired. And he's not going to be, and he's fired because he's not going to be there. That's what it comes down to. He's trying to make a splash for these books that he's selling. To be fair, the books look all right. I would say this: the average book is self-published these days, and let's see if I can find his book. I can show that to you maybe. Whatever, I can't find it, but he sells these books. They look okay. He's trying to make it, this is good publicity for him. It's also possible that he likes or is friends with Sussman. He could be a writer who wrote scripts for other TV shows. He claims that he's a professional writer, and he has some books out that he's trying to sell. They look all right. I take no position on the books, but his Star Trek reporting, now he did it in good faith, but let's go to the channel that he got it from. This was his source. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Tachyon Pulse. Germ, do you have some suspicions that Tachyon Pulse may have gone a bit too far in a few places with the fake engagement, and that they may all in fact be about their watch parties to their channel members only? This channel has still never been live. There is no live tab. We see store. They have a store. They have posts. They tell you when their members are going to meet up, and that's when you get to talk to Tachyon Pulse guy. Here he is. And his videos are all the same. He's all right. I don't have anything against the Tachyon Pulse guy, but it is 100% wish fulfillment, 100% of the time, and 100% unattributed. Do you believe this man? Would you buy a car from this man, Germ?
No, I would not. If this guy has any sorts, it's his own Reddit, his own subreddit.
And by the way, when I say I do not think that this is a high-effort Star Trek channel, what do you think of these thumbnails? Would I be burned at the stake for this? I'd be burned at the stake if I used these thumbnails, wouldn't I? People, it would be all over X, right?
I think that's his shorts.
It doesn't matter. All right, let's look at his videos.
Yeah, those are
same thing. They're compliant, but they're ugly as hell.
That's literally the template that YouTube shows you to use.
Hey, Radioactive, thank you. Tacky on, tacky off, make circle. You know what? These guys would not be allowed in Miyagi or Cobra Kai. I don't think they belong in either dojo. I don't regard this guy as being truthful. Let's read the titles here. Why this new Star Trek movie will be incredible, a month ago, showing all people from the original continuity. What the hell is he talking about? Do you have any idea? The most hated Star Trek characters. Now, why this new Star Trek movie will be incredible, 4,000 views. Star Trek's most hated characters, 2.6 thousand. Star Trek Secret Plan, 5.8 thousand views. Warner Brothers bad for fans. WB sale. Surprise Warner Brothers sale to Paramount is bad for fans. I don't think so. Fun Amazon sci-fi Osiris exposes Hollywood. What does that even mean? Did AI write that? Osiris 6.7 million is the thumbnail. You see it there with Linda Hamilton looking like, is that a picture from Terminator? What the fuck is that even? Doctor Who. Told you. Doctor Who. RTD next. So whatever. Evidence of aliens. So whatever. Some sort of, in search of sort of thing. Netflix takes surprise lead to buy Warner Brothers. Paramount bosses tell Kurtzman Star Trek costs too much. Star Trek Discovery actor says it's not Trek. Breaking news, Star Trek 4 canceled, confirmed. None of this stuff was stuff that people didn't know. None of it was... He broke Star Trek 4 confirmed 2 weeks ago. When did we break it? About two weeks ago? It happened just about 2 weeks ago where they finally gave up the ghost, isn't it? It's like 10 to 15 days, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit more than 2 weeks ago.
It's not 21 days yet, but it might be like 18. All right, listen. We knew this 6 years ago. Okay, so finally canceled. He's been saying that a lot. He said it more than once. Revealing why Star Trek Strange New Worlds work and Discovery didn't. 5.5 thousand views. Top 10 sci-fi isn't so bad to fix it. Top 10 sci-fi rubbish, I'll fix it. Nathan Fillion says he'll fix Firefly. I think he did say that he would like to play his Hollywood cards, and if he had unlimited money, he would fix it. That's not the same thing as it coming back. And here's what you get. It looks like this every time. I'm always let down when he doesn't wear the same jacket as I have, when he doesn't wear his Adidas jacket. Don't you like it best when he wears his Adidas jacket? But this is what you get. And a week ago, he said something we said 4 weeks ago, that Trek United, we said this in August. So always very safe and never very ahead. We took chances and we're reporting Star Trek United. Did we start in August or was it September 1st already? It might have been before. Was it July? It was July. It was San Diego Comic-Con. First Whispers. We've been on this one since the first Whispers. Tachyon Pulse never goes live. There's no live tab. Tachyon Pulse, 5 hours ago, they've got 2,000 views, but they cap out at 6,000 to 7,000 views total. So in the first 5 hours, they get 80%. They get 25% roughly to 30% roughly of 20% even. Easily on average of their views in the first 5 hours, and then in the next 2 days, like when my videos keep going for 48 hours and keep getting say like 5 to 12 views an hour, and then have an outlier hour where they'll spike up, or they'll like an hour where someone misses it. That's not happening. This blows up for a few hours and then goes away. It smells like a legitimate promotion in an English-speaking but extremely poor country that has an English, not American-facing sci-fi basis like Pakistan, Vietnam, Germ. Thoughts?
It could be something a little bit higher up than Pakistan or Vietnam. Maybe.
By the way, he's now had this for so long that he's getting recommended and he's getting knock-on views. So tune-out time's important. If you go back really far, you can see that when he's making his bones a couple of months ago, he needed to make a statement, and he had a bunch of 24,000 videos in a row. You tell me why 22,000 views for Knight Rider confirmed. 24,000 views. Carl Urban is back, 2 question marks. This is all wish fulfillment. The Expanse coming back. Firefly coming back. Fucking Stargate coming back. He'll layer on Germ. What do you think what do you think his budget is? This is a guy who Tachyon Pulse more than likely is some guy who lives in his mom's attic in England on his slacker socialism, using his lifetime unemployment to buy views through YouTube legitimately in like some... If we could have a map of where his views from, it's all Vietnam and Pakistan. What do you think? 80% likely? And 80% of his views?
Yeah,
you wouldn't bet against...
likely.
Let me ask you this. What would you be more likely... Go ahead.
This guy's overhead is entirely on...
He has no overhead.
Yeah, it's just by the...
He speaks into a iPhone. He does his videos testimonial style. Look at the hover here. You can see this is all you ever get. And this one is the same. And this one is, okay, he moved the camera around. And this one, he didn't turn the lights on. And this one, we're back to the same. So, I don't pretend to have some kind of great man cave. I'm not neurotic. I'm not, as. So, you look behind me, what you see is like what a person in New York can survive in, and don't get me wrong. I'm doing my best just to, eke it out and not go crazy. I can touch, most walls from any part of this apartment. But you know what? Tachyon Pulse, if he lives with his mom or something like that, or he's got state-assisted housing, he lives in a socialist country. Now, a lot of people use this to become YouTubers, but they put their best efforts into it. And we do see a lot of YouTubers from these countries like Canada, like the United Kingdom, that they have like a lifetime unemployment at top unemployment, whether they work or not, from the moment you get out of high school. And some people just never work. There are Rolling Stones songs about it, and they're called dole junkies. Am I correct? It's called being on the dole.
Yeah.
You make enough money to stay wasted, but not quite enough to live well. But you know what? You marry someone else who's doing it, you can combine and you're set. And we've seen some people use this as a social safety net to make YouTube material that's better and better and better. And they don't have to worry about starving, and they raise their game. And if you're making great YouTube, I'm never going to question it. This is a guy turning on his camera, saying things off of Google Trends that people want to hear, and getting people to join his club. And when you go in there, do we do an expose? Should I buy a membership and be like, sir, where do you know this from? And have him just lie to me?
That might be interesting.
I just don't feel like if anyone is quoting the Tachyon Pulse, we don't believe in them. I do not believe in their 10,000 subscribers. I believe that 2,000 subscribers is about right. I believe that they had 6,000 or 7,000, and that they astroturfed with a bunch of 25,000 view videos that were absolutely what you'd want to hear, like full Batman reboot. Michael Keaton will work with the new Batman Beyond actor, multi-tiered, every single thing you want. The Love Boat is back. Germ, Popeye's back, right? Is there anything? Robin Williams, back from the dead. Is there anything people wanted to hear this guy hasn't talked about? New John Candy movie discovered, right?
Yeah, if he thinks you want to hear it, you'll hear it.
If he wakes up tomorrow and decides that what people want to hear is that there was an undiscovered John Candy movie somewhere, he's going to say that there was an undiscovered John Candy movie somewhere. He's going to turn on his iPhone. He's going to sit in front of it in his mom's basement, and he's going to tell you what you want to hear. I will not do that, okay? I will not do that. I have a certain standard that I will keep for Star Trek, and I think that we have a lot of people that and hello, Daniel. Hello, sir. Sir! Good to see you, sir. I'm so confused. What did I just walk into? Okay, so there's a story that Alex Kurtzman is absolutely fired, and we have traced that story backwards from its origin point. The origin point is the Tachyon Pulse. The amplifier is JDA Talks Trek. JDA Talks Trek we've dropped into the chat. You can look at that one if you want. I think I still have the link for JDA Talks Trek, so that should, if you want to take a look at it, it's now in my chat twice. If you're coming back through, the timestamp on that one is 1 hour, 12 minutes of our broadcast. So you can look there, and I put the link in the chat. You can check out JDA Talks Trek. He's telling us what we wanted to hear. Was everybody in our chat group not excited? We have an X group where it's the members of the Star Trek panel only talking about Star Trek in the next episode of Enterprise and how to make a better show exclusively. It's like Star Trek the cult. Am I right? And it's fun.
Yeah.
Do we maybe use the intersectional pride emoji a whole lot in there when someone says things?
Yeah. A little bit excessive.
Is the rainbow pride emoji used anytime someone says anything? It's a fun chat.
That next group doesn't have a HR department.
You know what? Link this one. It's hilarious. Everybody's friends. Everyone's having a good time. It's the real chat. No one's like that seriously angry about anything. Everybody's handling things and processing things like an adult. And, we were all real excited when we watched it. And then I did what I have to do. What this channel mandates I do. And I'll tell you, I think Star Trek is possibly going to be saved. I am sure that there is not going to be any more Alex Kurtzman projects after the ones we've heard about. He probably will announce more, though. I have said he will announce more. Germ, do you think he's going to pull a few announcements out of his asses? Like the Discovery movie, he will announce it. Probably a few times, right? He'll grab Sonequa Martin Green and Stein Metz and go up there and Nelson Cruz and be a dick and dunk on people, right?
I'm sure he'll announce at least 3 more unique things. At least one of them will be a movie. And he'll be so desperate to save his cash flow that he'll do anything, a couple which may not be entirely within his rights to do. And he's going to
You got away with it, didn't you?
Yeah, he has the right to announce anything he wants because he has the right to make Star Trek, and then CBS can pass on it. But what he's been doing is they were ready to start passing on it, so he dug down deep and he was his natural self. He made the absolute very worst, stupidest fucking garbage he could fucking make. He downgraded that writer's room. Every single year it was a worse writer's room than it was the year before. Germ, when we looked at that writer's room, what did JT dig up? It was 3 young adult Discovery, Star Trek Voyager writers, right? Who could never get hired by Voyager?
Yeah, some beta canon writers and people right out of college.
And then the accusation was that some AI had been used to work out the ideas, and then it was only human edited. This is believable because in some ways it was better, wasn't it? With things like sometimes here and there episodes had clear acts. They were always edited like shit, though.
Yeah, you can tell they're getting at least the outline from an AI.
Yeah, they were told to have a beginning, middle, and end, and they tried to put it in there. They did. Go ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, if they've graduated in the last 2 years,
They didn't prompt it well.
Use of AI in writing is part of creative writing in college now.
All right. Thank you, JT Kirk, for the $2 salute. Alex Klutzman needs to get lost. You know what? There was a franchise that has a lot of love to it, but like Alex Kurtzman's Lost in Space, like it would have been harmless, right? It was a second tier but loved franchise. It was a good, not great show. And it was weird from the get-go. Freaky loser Alex Kurtzman's Lost in Space would have probably done no harm, but he ended up with Star Trek. What do you think of that one?
Hard to remember that Lost in Space reboot.
Well, the 1997 movie had some... It wasn't good, but it had something.
Are you talking about the movie or the Netflix series?
The Netflix series had a little bit less regard than the movie, but I heard that it was starting to turn the corner when they gave up on it because Netflix will cancel a lot of stuff in 1 year.
The only thing that you'd remember really about the movie is that Joey was in it.
And Heather Graham.
His big rebound off of from Friends, his big break into movies was going to be that Lost in Space movie.
Right. The Lost in Space movie failed to launch. What happened was they made too many compromises. They compromised with their original script that the fans liked, and they compromised with the original cast that the fans didn't necessarily need back but wanted to see in the movie. They threw Bill Mumy in there as a villain, which was acceptable. However, June Lockhart was only 60 and could have done something then, or maybe she was 70. She still could have been in it for a moment. Make her the voice of the computer, anything. It was irreverent and not so great, and they went with the worst-looking Heather Graham you can get. Heather Graham with her hair combed with firecrackers. Have you noticed it? Like, if you take Heather Graham and smooth her out and take the cigarette butts and gum out of her hair, that she looks great, but if she has the firecracker hair, she looks crazy, even though it's the same person.
Yeah, it can make quite a difference.
When she looks like she's combed her hair with firecrackers, Heather Graham is still a knockout, but it's distracting from the fact she's gorgeous. They didn't use a good Heather Graham look there. They went with her natural, super curly hair. When they smoothed it out, we saw in Austin Powers was mostly hair pieces and smoothed out 60s style hair. She looked gorgeous. In other movies with smoother hair, she looks gorgeous, and she is beautiful and she could act. When my buddy brought her as a date to a party, fucking blew everyone's. That was a great. She is a fun, funny person. Not too many people gayer than my friend. So when he showed up and like put everyone's date to shame with Heather Graham, well played, right? That's really putting one over on your friends.
Yeah.
All right. So they did that show. You could have done something like that, but Alex Kurtzman ends up with Star Trek. It's a disaster. He doesn't have the qualifications for it, and we end up with this weird non-Star Trek that's always trying to be a murder mystery and weird stuff like the hand sanitizer door opener, or this ridiculous episode where this was their whole episode. The episode was about them. And look, hey, look, hand sanitizer. It's like the dumbness of the original Star Trek. The dumbness of Strange New Worlds was just an affront to original Star Trek. They had to go after the original show all the time, over and over. And gee, Germ, who would think that this great cinema, who would think that this show wouldn't get rid? Who would think the guy who bought this singing, dancing Star Trek and open hatred and mockery of William Shatner, who would think that this person wouldn't be back, huh? Is William Shatner bigger than Star Trek at this point? I'm going to say yes. It's their fault, but yes.
This point, yeah.
You know what? Hey, Peter Venkman fans site. This is a great friend, a great YouTuber. Follow them on X. They are the coolest. You know what? You have done so much for the channel. It's not about loyalty anymore. Let me see if I can't jump in there. You know what, Peter Venkman fan site, you deserve a moderator wrench. You have been such a great standout. Always retweeting, always there for us. Thank you. I think you should have one now. And we have a lot of our friends here, and you know what? It's great to see all of you. We're debunking the Alex Kurtzman story. We still think he's fired. We hold to what we said on September 26th of 2024. Germ, Alex Kurtzman was probably fired the summer 2024, right? Even if he didn't know it, everyone else did. Correct?
That's probably something that was going around. I'd say it was the minute the sale went through is the minute that his firing went through.
We both threw down that we thought it was very likely to be true, correct?
Yes.
That was and then we said no one can say for sure now. And Doomcock's video the next day said no one can say for sure now. We scooped everyone on this by about a day. We had the same breadcrumb trail as everyone else. Admiral Teag developed some sources of his own. I've been at this YouTube game for 3 years now. I also have a network of information that I can find out stuff from. I live in New York. I know people. I know a lot of people. I went to school with people who now write for the Post. So I can make a phone call to my college buddy who works for the Post and be like, hey, what's on your entertainment wire? And I can get some rumors. Is it guaranteed that he's going to do me a favor all the time? I'm not Thomas Magnum, but if I need to validate something or I don't want to go live with something, I'm not going to until I can get validation, or I'll be very honest about it. This channel has not chased virility. This channel has chased sustainability. I have made solid Star Trek videos and solid Taylor Sheridan videos about things that we can enjoy and believe in. The Tachyon Pulse was founded out of another channel before it that I'm going to bet has been fired and forgot now. Do you have to... Okay, Germ, I understand you came on here with some stuff to do. I want to thank you for being here with me, and I think your bandwidth suggestion saved me. I don't think I'm going to get frozen, but I don't want to say it out loud. Germ, what are you doing next on your channel?
Well, tomorrow we'll have the Saving Star Trek pre-show watch party for what's essentially the season premiere of season 4, Home.
It's a good episode. All right. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time?
9 p.m. Eastern time.
6 p.m. Pacific. So, this poor woman. Germ, I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to help me out here. Let me beam you down to the northern continent. Thank you, my friend. Say hi to Gorilla.
Bye, everybody.
And there he goes, Resolute Germ, a better co-host and friend no one could ever have. You know what? When nobody, and I mean nobody, believed in Admiral Teag and wanted my head on some kind of platter, Germ stood by me, and Bird of Prey 5 stood by me, and I will take those two people in a fight anytime. That's like having Doc Gooden with a bucket full of hand grenades, man. Just gonna like be fine, man. Just like give me 2 buckets full of hand grenades and send me out there. It's gonna be all right. I couldn't enter the tachyon pulse with a polar-on beam. Yeah, what is going on with the tachyon pulse? They say whatever they want to say. And here, this is their original channel, okay? I'm trying to grab it now. The original tachyon pulse. See, I keep showing you the producers because that's kind of like, that's Kurtzman's thing. Here's, let's see if I can get it on. Oops, whoa, sirs, madams, sirs. Let me grab this. Stand back while I whip this out. All right, Sidetrack is now, they go live, okay? Sidetrack does go live. Whether or not these are member only, I can't tell. Sidetrack, 32,000 subscribers, 1.1 thousand videos. 4 hours ago, they dropped a 1 hour and 18-minute Fallout video. It has 58 views. 58 views. Wow. 58 views. Okay, so this is where Tachyon Pulse comes from. Let me remove this. This is where Tachyon Pulse comes from. This is Sidetrack. Now, people like my friend Radioactive and my friend Crimlon have had conversations with me. Now I'm just going to kind of share with you some YouTube inside baseball. Here's the deal. If you want to fool some people, you can for a little while. And I think this has now gone out of style because YouTube has seen a lot of it. And there are channels that do this. And you can tell with the engagement versus the amount of subs. 32,000 subs. So 10% what Doomcock has. Their 1 hour old video has 58 views. I'm sorry, 4 hour old video, as you can see right here, has 58 views. And as I hover over it, it's not doing anything. As I hover over their older one, we can see that it looks like, yeah, in the lower corner on the left side is the purple light of the Tachyon Pulse guys. His little setup. So the Tachyon Pulse guy is part of this. And these are a bunch of people who I don't know how they managed to do this, but you can certainly tell me you don't think that this is suspect, that yesterday's show, 1,300 views, 509 views, that's believable, 136 views 7 days ago for another 79-minute Fallout show, 268 views for a 2-hour Stargate show. These are Admiral Teagian numbers, okay? Why are they inside the Admiral Teagian curve? How come my Landman live show outperforms them regularly? Why is my Landman live show messing up, beating the fuck out of their Fallout show from 4 hours ago? My Landman live show had like 700 views in like 4 hours. All right, these guys, 58 views. There is something wrong with Sidetrack. There is something wrong with the Tachyon Pulse. I do not believe in the Tachyon Pulse's veracity. Now, there is a very convenient echo chamber, and there are certain stories that people tell. Now, I am YouTube part-time and in real world most of the time, okay? I love doing this, and I bring my real-world investigative skills into this. I am a good investigator. Don't believe it? Ask Rock. It rated me as high as cop. It said I had detective level. I don't have subpoena power or a badge, though. Yep, shields up. Here comes Admiral Teag going nuts. The Tachyon Pulse, I don't know what to tell you guys.
We're attacked by 3 Roman legions.
I got something to say about the Tachyon Pulse. I don't believe any of this nonsense. I could turn on a camera and tell you exactly what you wanted to hear for 15 minutes and then try to sell memberships to my channel, then go live and promise you more of what you wanted to hear to a members only stream. Where is anything? I don't see a member. Community. Let's go to his community. Only 16 to 30 likes on any membership post going back 5 months. 5 months ago, 21. Now, if I really beg, you guys will give me that about like a week. YouTube terrible at getting out the word, but we can see here, with our own eyes. You don't have to be a genius or, a member of the Special Victims Unit to realize that the Tachyon Pulse is some nonsense. And you don't have to be a genius to know that a show that has lost money consistently since 2018 is finally going to collapse and fold, and that showrunner's being fired is almost a fait accompli, to the point where you could make up a wild story about how he had pictures of people on Stein Epps' Pleasure Planet and get away with it, and no one would really question it. This guy is basically, the Tachyon Pulse is like saying, like, I got my Bible learning from David Koresh. This guy is like the Branch Davidians of Star Trek, okay? This is like David Koresh just turns on a video camera and starts ranting. Yeah, the stuff he says comes out of the Bible. Sure, everyone wants to hear that you're the only one doing it right and everyone else is a wicked piece of crap. I could turn you on to a couple of X feeds that sound that way. But you know what? He's still David Koresh. He's still a madman. In this sense, the Tachyon Pulse guy, he might be a nice person, but he turns on his camera and he hallucinates and he doesn't back up what's going on and he says things that just people want to hear. And I don't know why 2.1 thousand people are jumping on new Stargate will be woke concerns already. That sentence I have a hard time coming to terms with. I think that for most of his slacker socialism, he is buying views in low view countries as well as subscribers to pad his views. He doesn't have the organic numbers to match what he says he has. He uses it to set as fake prestige. He's burnishing and polishing literally a turd, in my opinion, here. And what he does is he does not create, as you see what I have done here, where I have taken their work and transformed it into a video essay so I can tell you this community's point of view. This got 1,500 views, okay? And as you can see, far more artful than if I just, this is like an entire Tachyon Pulse video right now in this corner of your screen. It's like, hello, I've just gotten some news. My mum brought home the news of the world and I read that there's going to be a reboot of Stargate. Yes, Stargate. No, I'm sorry, I meant Doctor Who. There's going to be a new Doctor Who, and you know what? Let me put on my Man U jacket and whatever. I mean, it's just him sitting in front of this dusty Enterprise D model, spinning these like wish fulfillment yarns. Well, you know what? I'll tell you some other things that like will make you feel good. At the end of the day, they'll be either unprovable or it'll take so long for them to happen, or they'll be so predictable. Like, gee. A guy who's only ever failed, whose last success was 3 co-writers and 4 or 5 shows ago, is going to be let go. He's never succeeded in Star Trek. His last success was Hawaii Five-0, which ran against Monday Night Football. Think about what he got out of that. 17, 18, 19 weeks running against Monday Night Football and a couple of Monday Night Football playoff games. There's one now, right? So 19 to 21 weeks of running against nobody's watching this stuff. So then when Monday Night Football ends, you get a second debut on already paid for episodes. People assume that the season made sense because they drop in on the last 5 episodes of the run. And then they watch the reruns because they ain't seen them before. And their wife's like, oh yeah, Adrian O'Malley is really handsome, because that's their thing. They throw good looking people on the screen. They can't really afford to do that anymore, and now they spite us by putting real ugly people on screen a lot of the time. And if you're not ugly when you get there, don't worry, you will be when they get done with you. It is an insane thing going on. But, this is my work here. When I make a Star Trek video, I try to give you something to look at, I try to engage you visually, and I try to give you something that, explains our point of view. And by our point of view, every time I make one of these Star Trek review videos, I do make a case for our point of view on Star Trek. Every time one of my Star Trek videos does well, we are making the case that there is a thoughtful Star Trek community out there that wants some of its episodes to be introspective, that wants a high quality storytelling. I can live without a space battle every week, and I can live without the F-bombs. You know what? The Ellison said something that's long overdue in Hollywood that I loved hearing. We want Star Trek that's fun for the whole family. We need that again. good-looking people on screen in Strange New Worlds since when? Well, if the people are good-looking, what they do is Rebecca Romaine, real hot, but they just waited till that one aged out and the wine turned to vinegar. Anson Mount, I guess he's considered handsome to women, but you know what? His character's so unenviable and so weak. My God. And this Spock. Spock!
She was attacked by what appears to be essentially a robot.
Insufficient sensor data. Incorrect.
10 fucking grueling hours.
Why, Spock? Why? All you had to do was pull the trigger.
I mean, remember when, like, we would hear just one word from William Shatner? Who doesn't know where this is from? Ready?
Spock!
Everyone's there again. In the movie theater. Or in front of that television. With your family, with your parents, maybe with your best friend. Middle school, maybe. Maybe you're in high school. Star Trek hasn't been good in 16, 17 years. I walked out of the last Star Trek theatrical movie disgusted. Disgusted. It was fucking garbage. I saw Star Trek Beyond on video. I wasn't going to a fucking theater for that. Fuck their movies. But you know what? I have tried to extend the case that a thoughtful Star Trek show that mostly made sense and was episodic and was a couple hours long, an hour long and 23 episodes a season would be welcome. Star Trek United is talking more or less along those lines. They seem determined to stream, to which I say, Sussman, baby, do one 90-minute movie at a time. You could get 2 or 3 of those done a season. Very well done. Very episodic. Very much like your season 4. Mr. Sussman, you want to come on here and talk to some real Star Trek fans about your vision? I guarantee you that you will find enthusiasm like nowhere else before. Not only do we have the largest independent Star Trek viewing and reviewing community known, largest, okay? We also have the largest New Trek viewing and reviewing community, all right? We're also the largest independent New Trek community because we call them out on their bullshit and we don't let them buy, all right? We don't let them buy and we don't let them double tap Star Trek in the dark. And all of you are to be congratulated and thanked because all of you helped bring it back. You know, there's a line in one of my favorite movies, Excalibur, at the end, where Merlin comes back and he's just like, Merlin. He's like, what? You're just a dream now. It's like, a dream to some, a nightmare to others. It's like, Merlin, how? And it's like, you brought me back. Your love brought me back. And it's the same thing here. We loved Star Trek so much. No fans have been through worse. You have to go to the Detroit Lions fans. I'm sorry, JT, you're both. You have to go to Mets fans. You have to go to the Cubs are out of the woods with that one. New York Jets fans. You have to go to that level of suffering to get. I mean, we are talking sports curse territory. 16 years of insultingly bad shows, and Mark C with a D, who's our friend, Mark D with a C. Am I saying it right? JT, help! Please put his link on screen. He's great. Sunday Night Geekery, great wind down from your weekend but comes on right after Landman Live too. It's a great show. You know what? Sunday Night Geekery, Mark D with the C. He saw Kurtzman speak. Kurtzman, it was like Ubu, like speak Ubu, speak. It was like Kurtzman knows that if he tells us that this is going to be much more like the Star Trek you were familiar with growing up, that people will beat a path to his door. But he's told that lie so many times. The first Alex Kurtzman press conference before the first episode of Star Trek Discovery was seen is the same as the Picard press conference, is the same as the Strange New Worlds press conference, is the same as the last Strange New Worlds conference, is the same as the Section 31 press conference. And then every once in a while he'll show up and be like, Star Trek's nothing like people thought it was. It's just love stories and singing and dancing in space. Don't people know that? And his overwhelming need to put singing and dancing into Star Trek. When they ran him out And yeah, check out this channel. It's great. Mark Dudas, he's a good guy. Listen, when they ran him out and they told him, listen, sir, no more money, sir. Sir, you can't have any more money to go push your bad Star Trek at San Diego comic. And he's like, but people care. People want to see it. And they're like,
it doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
thank you, sir. I couldn't have said it better myself, sir.
Sir, that was so controversial. Sir,
you can't have a room at the Comic-Con. It's ridiculous. You can't have that. You cannot have a room at the Comic-Con. No. So what does he do? He takes what he has. He does a guerrilla franchise attack. And you saw it in my video. The people in the parking lot watching the singing, dancing Star Trek thing that they did for this fucking episode that we're watching now was one of the 5 episodes. 4.5 Vulcans. One of the stupidest things I've ever seen on television. Everybody's got a great body, but the chicken wears a cat suit. You can see that right here, too. So if you're good looking, they'll take care of that and make you ungood looking. Connie, she's beautiful. So she has a great figure. They usually dress her like shit. Rebecca Romaine, she was beautiful. They just waited long enough. That chick on the left, she showed up this year because we don't have enough people to deliver lines. We couldn't bring people back. No one wants to be part of this show. These are some of their aliens, as low effort and cheap and terrible as could be. And there's Roger O'Corby. Roger Corby is an Irishman. He's clean as a whistle. He's strong enough for a man, but he acts like a woman. He's got all sorts of problems. He's like a neurotic mess. Robotic. Think about this. She's about to marry an android. Christine is in a relationship with her fucking vibrator. I type this on a personal massage device. I mean, hey, there's a handsome guy. That looks like, is that Admiral Teag? I chose an avatar that did not resemble me at all. Jonas J. Campbell, thank you for the idea. You know what? It's better than this, right? Although my bad hair is so much better than Kurtzman's terrible, in my opinion, wig. Sue me. I think it's a fucking wig. That is some bad hair. I'd rather have my bad natural hair than that wig any day of the week. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It's not time yet to spike the football. We haven't made it to the end zone. But I will take you back to a day when Star Trek was good. Back to a day when football wasn't fixed. Back to a point where there were, well, the Jets were terrible, but the 1996 Dallas Cowboys, Deion Primetime Sanders. It's not time to spike the football. We haven't scored yet, and you can't do this move in the league anymore, but it is time to start high stepping. We're inside the 20. We got the ball. We got nobody near us. We broke away so clean. That football landed right in our hands. We can't spike the football. We ain't scored. God knows a couple of guys who weren't Deion Sanders started high-stepping and got sacked. These people are spiking the football. If they end up being wrong, they're going to look ridiculous and lose their credibility. If I end up being wrong, well, that's kooky Admiral Teag. He ended up being wrong. I think there's a high chance that Alex Kurtzman has been fired for about 1.5 years, and Germ and I stand by our prediction that after New Year's, but before St. Patrick's Day, we will get a real announcement from Paramount. Now, his behavior has been so bad, and in my opinion, extortionary towards the franchise, and such bad faith, that I think there's a shot they get rid of him earlier. And I do think that Starfleet Academy, we have heard from JDA Talk said Starfleet Academy canceled. I said that I didn't think they would ever show it. I do think there were 2 seasons. It's only 1 season. That's Alex Kurtzman trying to dig his heels in, breaking his 1 season up into 2 and dropping it out over 2 different calendar years. That's still just 10 episodes of Star Trek. He's trying to just poison the well longer. That's why this reboot stuff is in motion. Take some of that reboot money and use it to burn Starfleet Academy. Burn it all. Burn Starfleet Academy. Burn Strange New Worlds. Bury them. Drop them off the tab. Let him sell his steel books. No one's going to think of these losers as Star Trek in a couple of years, okay? This is not Star Trek that William Shatner himself said in front of me. This is not any kind of Star Trek that I recognize. Lombardi, 1969. It's good to see you, sir. Sir! It's good to see you. And everyone's saying hello to each other. This is like their most important thing that they want to show us every week. Taste the rainbow. They spend more money on this like beginning like rainbow pride thing than they did on anything else. And why? Because it's made for a super low attention span audience. So, hey, pander. We only rubbed the pander stone a little. These guys took the pander stone and shoved it where the sun doesn't shine. Sideways, JT. Sideways. And there she is, Jess Bush she's attractive in the face. You use a model like Jess Bush to sell a necklace, to sell makeup, to sell a haircut, hair care products. She's beautiful in the face. They put her in a fitness model's role. Jolene Blaylock had a beautiful face, but she was a fitness model. Let's talk about Christine's level of fitness. I mean, she's going to pop into view here for a second. This is let's just be honest here. This is not charitable to put this woman in the cat suit. It's not right. It's not right. She is being poorly served. Poor woman has a Melvin, if you remember that term. She's got a Melvin. Another way of putting it is to be vulgar. You can read her lips, but they did that to her. She has what they call fupa. She should never have been forced to wear a fitness outfit. Why is she in fitness clothing? And why is this outfit in the Smithsonian? My God. So this is what we do. We've gone from feelings in hallways to emotions in corridors. That was their growth. And, hey, JT Kirk, get it with the sweet blue flame of propane. I'll get it with the sweet blue flame of propane. I haven't seen the new King of the Hill, but I reckon it's probably pretty good. Landman sounds like King of the Hill sometimes. It's like, well, hell, the whole thing's just a reverse carbon footprint. All we did was move around and damage to South America. We were made all the petrochemicals, plus all trucking all that out here. It goes down 200 feet deep. It's crazy shit. Landman is a fine show. It's weird to go from this kind of reviewing to Landman, or to go from real Star Trek to Landman. You see some of these names like Akiva Goldsman. Akiva Goldsman was one of these are all the like co-writers. Right? Now they're Gene Roddenberry. I don't know, like that's his credit. He's dropped to a shared credit. He owns this shit. Trevor Roth, I don't know who it is. Don't know who these people are. If you cross-reference this with the MCU, there are no mutuals so far, but I keep checking. And I use Grok and ChatGPT to recheck. There was a person with a very similar name. It wasn't the same guy. They haven't even used the same directors yet. These people have been on this show forever. Executive producer. This is all from the same episode. So Akiva Goldsman used to co-write everything with Kurtzman and kind of nerf his worst instincts. He has passed away. He's not got anything to do with this, and he's been gone from this for a while. He's gone to his reward. He was a better writer than Kurtzman. We can say now Kurtzman made his stuff worse. Akiva Goldsman, we just don't know. So, and of course, Kurtzman's name is last, and it's nothing like Star Trek. But you know what? I feel like I've made my point on this one. The Kurtzman firing, it probably is a fact, but no one can say they know for sure. The source on this has no source. So what we did was we had a guy say something. That guy got a prohibitively large amount of subs with the tachyon pulse. It was what everyone wanted to hear. There was some substantiation out there. That's why he said it. There was a huge desire to hear it. I believe that people strongly misread his views as people's appetite for the story. When what he was really doing was astroturfing his views to sell, in my opinion, to sell his membership. If you become a member of his channel, he goes live like that, and you can see these membership things. I've seen member posts. I guess maybe he scrubbed them, but that's what I remember, okay? That's how I remember it. And you can go live, and I guess it's a watch party, and I don't know what the level of interaction is. I'm not about to buy my way in, but this guy says Stargate's coming back. 5,000 people watched it in just one day. He must be telling the truth. Until you've been around YouTube long enough to know how the game is played. It's actually a suspicious outlier. Guys, if you can, I'd like you to do me a favor. Admiral Teague is got a different endeavor. I do this, of course, but one thing I also do is I cover the stuff done by Taylor Sheridan, okay? Taylor Sheridan is not exactly the next Gene Roddenberry, but he tells great stories. And if you could watch my Taylor Sheridan video essay that I am putting in the comments now, first of all, I want to tell you a couple of things about the Admiral Teague video essays. First of all, they're different from the live experience, and get a chance to experience me in a different way. And have you ever been experienced? Let me tell you something. I did a Landman video essay that I think is up to par. I worked on it long enough. The 1923 ones were better every week. I've made a few since then. My It's a Wonderful Life video essay is going to get re-uploaded soon. I'm going to work on it a little more and try it again this year. The jokes are too funny to waste on a video that I wasn't ready to edit yet. I finally have broken into being a relatively skillful editor. We've shown you that one. And thank you so much, JT, for the $2 United States of America super chat. I so appreciate that. Let me get in the corner. Get back in your corner, crazy little man. Back in your corner, you crazy. Oh my God, the crazy little man is me. Anyway, listen. I think that we got some big entertainment coming up in a little while. About 10 minutes, our pal DC should be on, right? But this is my Taylor Sheridan video essay. It's also, if you're watching later, it's in the chat. I want to explain something to everybody watching right now. This is important. If I make a 9-minute video essay, if I can't control the ads, which happens sometimes, I'll turn off the monetization for a while. I'll try. If I can. As soon as it's done processing, I will turn on the monetization, and I try to keep it to 1 ad break per 10 minutes, right? Because TV is 7, so I give you more. And the YouTube ad breaks are shorter. And I'm trying to build in a moment where the ad break would fit now. The last video, I built in the moment, and it's a 9-minute video. The ad break is 6 minutes in. I'm not coming after you. I'm not trying to rake anybody over the coals. My goal here is to get some respect as a critic and get that meeting with Paramount so I can explain our story ideas to the people at the top. Guys, I'm an Uber ride away. If the Paramount people would agree to work with me, I'm very sure that we could have an awesome lunch together. We could go have a few drinks at the Paramount Theater up at 96th Street and go to the Leonard Nimoy Lounge. That's where I'd like to have the meeting, at the Leonard Nimoy Lounge at the Paramount Theater on 96th Street. I think it would be fucking great. I love New York. They're here too. And you know what? It's great to see everybody. And I'm just being honest. Here it is. You can see me. I do think that Trek United has now caught the attention of CBS. There's a lot of things that could happen between now and when a TV show goes final, but they're doing everything right. Sussman on his own has shown he's his own great PR guy. Once he gets professionals, they'll be able to advise him even more, but he'll shut down bad ideas. He knows how. Mary Trump interview, didn't take the bait. No politics. Sean Ferrick is unwatchable, but what I watched, not political, asking story-oriented questions. Your community with Admiral Teague. I am getting better at the video essays. This is a YouTube legal video essay with cuts every 4 seconds, still made not to be jarring because, hey, that's what I like to do, make videos that people like to watch while I extend our ideas. This video had 1 commercial break in it. All my 9-minute videos have 1 commercial break in it. Any shorter than 8 minutes, there's no commercial in it. I can't control the one before and after. I can't control it. I won't tell you what to do. If you can find a way to get around it, get around it. And yes, this is, if Stacey Abrams was the epitome of failed Trek, and Trump's FCC and FTC approved the Skydance merger quickly, does that mean Trump made Trek great again? He made, you know what? I will simplify it. It would mean he made Star Trek again. These people never made Star Trek. Look at this garbage. They never made Star Trek. Star Trek has always and always will, always been and always been. Look at this fucking image. All right, this was never Star Trek. where the Commodore in the engine room outranks the captain, all right? Star Trek was always great. Star Trek will always be great. These terrible shows made by these terrible writers, these are not Star Trek. And that, like, Cope Prize that they gave people with Stacey Abrams, look, I don't know, like, what happens? I don't live in North Carolina. Like, only 1 in 50 tops Americans lives there, right? Or less. It's 1/50th of this fucking country by some measurements. It is not the most populous state. Georgia. All right? So northern Florida. Snowy Florida. Like, she ran for, like, president of Georgia. And what do? There was a hotly contested election. And a lot of people didn't like the outcome. And they said, oh, this guy won't stand up to Trump. Who stood up to Trump? More than that Republican red governor in Georgia. He proved that these people are full of shit. It was a bag of lies, okay? It was a pack of lies. It was a bag of shit. It was a fraud. The audience they said was coming was never going to come. And if you thought, I'm going to come. If you ever thought that, Stacey Abrams won that election, its place to be played out with was by investigative journalists, which we used to have but don't anymore, in real media, which was more real news, which we used to have more of, with standards. That last Anchorman movie wasn't funny, but it may have been correct about, how filming the live car wreck is always going to beat like a serious think piece. God knows I've lived it in my real life. We put on one of the most thoughtful, introspective, high-production Star Trek shows every Saturday. And God knows if someone turns on a camera and, makes a like a human flaming kebab of themselves, they're going to outdo us every time. That's what happens. It's called cringe streaming, people, and I do not intend to compete yet. Never trust the pack leads. One day I'll take a vote and we'll find out who our community thinks left the pack leads that shuttle. Was it the Ferengi? That seems the most obvious, right? But I have another theory. I think the Romulans would do it. They're dicks like that. The Romulans would absolutely love to give the Packleads a ship. But yeah, never trust them. You can't give cavemen a starship. Is Kurtzman fired? Almost certainly so. Can we know for sure? Absolutely not. Is there information incoming? Watch this space. When we know, we'll tell you. Midnight's Edge has been equally cautious and equally good. If they say it, it's probably going to be true too. I do not have, only that information chain, but, I can talk to them too, like any member can. Be a member of Midnight's Edge. They're really cool to their members and they have great member streams. And we're due for one. There'll be one coming up soon. I love you all. And I want to thank everyone who's here. Saving Star Trek is brought to you by the genius of Gene Roddenberry's vision and the insanity of Admiral Teag, who is a right mad, crikey, he's a bloody bloke who's out of his mind. All right. Your best guess on New Trek, 23 votes. We won't see it around here anymore. 26%. Gone after Starfleet Academy, 22%. We're stuck for a few more years, 30%. You're all wonderful people, and 22% of you took the poll just to like the stream and see the results, which I super appreciate. These interactions are quality. If you're riding by later with a drive-by, it would be awesome if you could hype this, if you could like this. We have 20 likes. If we pile on just 10 more, we'll get an algorithm boost, and this episode of my show will shoot up to 200 or 300 views. If we hit 30 likes on Saturday, there has never been a 30-like Saturday show that has not gone 500 views. Never. Never happened. If you guys give me 30 likes on Saturday, we'll bring our Star Trek view to 500 more people, because what happens? They give us a 400% bump after the fact. We finish the show with 116 to 216, usually every week, okay? And usually it's exactly 3 hours. We're getting crisper. 10 to 1 seems to be almost an exact cadence. In that time, there will be no AdSense commercials rolled live. When the show is over, I will try to crank it down to 1 commercial an hour. If not, it's because YouTube has control of it and they will not relinquish control sometimes for like 6 or 7 hours. That's not me. Hit it again in a few hours. I'll have fixed it if I can. I promise you this. This is a community-supported YouTube channel where I will bring our voice forward with dignity, where I will report to you in context, where I will give you sourcing. I can't be wrong on my promise that Kurtzman is fired because I always said, we don't know, we're not there. And at the end of the day, Star Trek will be around long after Kurtzman's hands are off it, whether it's this year or next. Has he expended his time? Oh,
I've gone too far in a few places.
You're damn right he has.
I don't care.
I know, but the thing is, we've got to figure out when this is all going to end.
But it's a mystery, and I don't like mysteries. Give
No.
me a bellyache, and I got a beauty right now.
I'll tell you this, Jim, I got a red alert going on right now. Computer! How much longer will the being known as Kurtzman be in charge of Star Trek?
I don't care.
Harrison, I didn't ask you. Quite the ship. I got Han Solo and Captain Kirk on at the same time. Hey, it's Critically Thinking and Drinking. I did a great Star Trek talk with him yesterday. He did a lot to get the word out there for people. He asked some questions that a lot of people have, gave me a chance to address a lot of stuff, and he's a great ex-follow. Let me see if I can't find the banner I have for Critically Thinking and Drinking as I get ready to wrap up the show. I'm going to close the poll now. 23 votes is where we'll leave it. The final results were best guess on New Trek, 30% highest response rate. We're stuck with it for a few more years. Here's the thing. Yeah, we are, but it's like that car you already know that you're sending to the junkyard. When you turn off the key and get out, it's rattling and banging and after running because it's a fucking piece of shit. But it's gone. The Auto Undertaker, which is a business that we have here locally in New York. It's hilarious. The guy does the whole thing. His fucking tow truck is done up like a fucking big hearse. It's all black. And it's like he has like a black like coveralls with like a fake tie. It's great. He plays it to the hilt, Auto Undertaker, and he's like, I'm here for the decedents. And he does the whole thing. It's hilarious. But you know what? And like, it is great. But you know what? The Auto Undertaker has come for Star Trek, New Trek. I don't think there's anything left to be done. The whole is less than the sum of the parts. You got two not too harmful cartoons that you can let out in the wild. The rest of it you got to burn. People can buy steelbooks. Let them speak in whispers of the bad Star Trek that was anti-normal and anti-narrative and anti-fun. Now go say hi to Doomcock and tell him that Admiral Teague sent you. And remember, Saving Star Trek is brought to you by the genius of Gene Roddenberry's original vision, the madness of Admiral Teague, the brilliance of my panelists, and the generosity of Star Trek fans like Radioactive, RRTNZ, Krimlon, JT Kirk. And you are great friends, all of you. And I will see some of you tomorrow and some of you on Sunday. This is when I kick it into high gear. Admiral Teague going strong from now till Tuesday. Like, I get the day off to go to work a couple of times next week. You're going to get a couple of less streams from me next week because I'll be at work. What are you going to do? The real world still has to take priority. YouTube could go away tomorrow. That's life in the big city. You know what? That's Hollywood, baby. You know, what can I say? It's weird with the responsibility growing up 30 miles away from Rachel Ziegler. And she says that she speaks for all light-skinned Latino people in New York. I got to say, I believe as Latino as Rachel because the last full-on Latino in her family would be grandfather, right? Rachel, I challenge you to a sing-off. You'll win, but I can sing pretty good. So I challenge you to that. It'll be fun. I think people would be rooting for me. I don't know if I'd sing Faithful Heart great, but I would against her. And, you know, at least Zach Wilde from Ozzy Osbourne is from the same town, right? But, you know, as a Cuban-American, to hear Rachel Ziegler speaking on behalf of all Latinx, whatever that word means, and if you call it to me, you're going to have problems right away. You really are. I'm going to start yelling. I might stare at you. I might stare you down. I might ask you what the fuck you thinking. I'm going to fuck with you, if you come at me with that one. And that's as much of a Latino accent as I can do, because I went to fucking college and I can talk like a normal person. Jennifer Lopez is putting it on, all right? There is that particular accent. It is real, but I mean, don't know what to talk like that, man. Okay? Like, that's a made-up accent, okay? And I can tell you this, Rachel Ziegler doesn't have it. She's Polish and Mexican, okay? I know people like that. It's New York, baby. She doesn't speak on behalf of me. She doesn't speak on behalf of all Latino people. And she doesn't speak on behalf of all light-skinned Latino people. I am from the smallest minority group of Latino people, the Cubans. Only 0.5% of Latinos in New York are Cuban. Other famous Cubans include Cameron Diaz. Hey, we're the same age. Cubans have that Latin synergy, man. Like time waits for no one. Unless you're Latino. Then you show up when you feel like it. We're on Latino time. Does Admiral Teague's fleet include some banana boats? I wouldn't have it any other way. I want to thank everyone who's come by for the show. We had JT Kirk, we had Buddy Hepburn, we had the Critically Thinking and Drinking, who is a great follow. You should check him out. We have my friend, the Trek Reviewer is here. Read by Nature is here. Lombardi 1969 is here. We have Radioactive. We have the PVFS. Hello, sir. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. I didn't see that name. I'm sorry I missed you coming through the door. We have, and it's good to see that. After seeing what he did with Hawaii Five-0, why? Because the Hawaii Five-0 show managed to be profitable, and he, deluded them and made them, nutty by saying, it'll be like a shared world with Hawaii Five-0. Everyone's going to love it. It'll be like the greatest effing thing ever. And it just wasn't. It just didn't work out. And that show was terrible and was a sign of things to come. That Hawaii Five-0 show, never 1 second of exposition that wasn't in the middle of a gunfight. Like a car chase with blazing machine guns. Buddy, oh man, thank you so much for thanking everyone who has been generous to the channel. I want to thank Daniel, Daniel Zhao 7801, is that... I want to thank you, sir. I want to thank Ray Lucard. Ray, I'm sorry I didn't greet you when you came in. I think I forgot. I missed you there. Please forgive me, anyone that was late. I can't see the whole scroll right now. Let me see if I can't go back on my own. In the StreamYards, is there anyone I missed? As I scroll way back, Peter Venkman Fan Club. Thank you so much. Always retweets us. Always a sweetheart. Always a good friend of the channel. Sci-Fi Mombi. Good to see you, Sci-Fi Mombi. It's been a little while. You've been around more lately. Good to see you coming back to the fold. John, the Beagle Dad. Kyle Cullen made it here during the show, and I didn't manage to say hello to him. I feel so bad. Kyle, I'm sorry, Kyle. RRTNZ, Slaughter Poopus Qver, DM Viewing, Stark of Iron was here. Buddy kept it all together. Tim FKHC 2005 was here. We had Low Specs Linux Laptop Grace was present for a while. It's good to see that. Mr. House Party 6th, one of our good friends, was here. We had quite the party indeed. It really was quite the show. We had every living member of the Rolling Stones and the Beatles was here. We had John Lennon's ghost here. We had some of the greatest people in the history of great people here. And I want to thank everyone who's been part of the show. And fun chat on X last night, for sure. Check it out. I put it in my highlights on my X. If you want to see it, it's Critically Thinking and Drinking, interviewing me about Star Trek, the Replicator, and space socialism were the big sticking points. What can I say? They don't make sense, but they make for a great sci-fi story, don't they? Sean Carter made this great video for me, but first, let's get a new background in. Let's get Cursed Man off the screen here. Here's a background I like. I like this one. This is everything I love in one picture. It's New York. It's Star Trek. It's YouTube and all of you, all in one place. Look at that. And World War II. I love history. I love Star Trek. I love New York. This picture's everything I love in one place. And you know what? That final high special effects scene that was done with the Enterprise making the strafing run over Manhattan and destroying the conduit through time to end that stupid story, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. They did a good job of backing out of that terrible idea thrown to them. We have found out, the production note, guys, before I run off, is this. The Star Trek, Brandenburger, Pillar, and all those guys kind of back away and throw it to Kodo and Sussman almost exclusively for the last season, so we'll get to see what they're made of here. And they're trying to get that Battlestar Galactica that they've been trying to do since they made Voyager into Star Trek Battlestar Galactica all those years. We'll be back on Sunday night with Landman Live, our biggest show, and we will have the latest development from Sunday's drop of Taylor Sheridan's Landman, which I'll be watching Sunday afternoon. Check out the Landman video essay. It's in the chat. Let me see if I can drop the link one more time. I would appreciate anybody like this now and watch it later. I threw it on Reddit, so it did get a few more impressions. I got impressions for it by going on Reddit. YouTube doesn't want to show it to people? Fine. You know what? I have the first Landman video was only seen by 200 people. I want to welcome the 40 of you who joined the channel from watching it. Clearly, there's an interest in this. No one else is doing it. The problem is discoverability. Help me out on Reddit. Help me out with hype. Help me out with a like. And thank you all so very much for being here. Your time, your precious time, and your love of Star Trek that brought it back. There is nothing else I can say that validates this quite so much, and no way I can truly thank you for it. So, Sean made me this brief video to introduce my other video. Let me play it for you now, because he found the hottest picture of Sydney Sweeney. We are going to have to find this picture of Sydney Sweeney and use it again. But here she is. And here we go. Let's get ready. And remember, this is the Admiral Teague promise.
The word decent doesn't apply to me.
No, that was the wrong one. No, this is the Admiral Teague promise. I'll always be here saving Star Trek. And why?
Because I can.
I am the chosen one. It has fallen to me to save Star Trek. Under my reign since this show began. Kelvin movies, over. Star Trek Discovery, over. Star Trek Enterprise, looking for a sequel show. Promises kept by your buddy, Admiral Teague. Here it is, the video you've been waiting for.
Incoming Sydney Sweeney video. Set burners to full. Lubrication supply sufficient for projected fapping level. Paper towels to standby. Turbo lift door secured and locked. Wives and girlfriend interruption probability at 12%. You may commence masturbatory actions at any time.
Yes, it's about 5 minutes. You know what? On behalf of Landman, I would say, now, that may have been some water-based lubricant that we saw there, but it was inside a petrochemical bottle, all right? You should use petroleum jelly. It would burst into flames, Landman! I don't know, that might be a myth. Don't quote me. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a weirdo from New York who likes a terrible football team and great TV. Here she is. You know her. You love her. You watch this channel for her. Here she is, our official spokesmodel. Famous here for 3 years, but first, 26 seconds of Spock! One of us! One of us!
That was so controversial. Sir.
Sir! Can I finish? Bye, everybody.